name is Anna and this is the second tutorial for SmC. Today we are talking about catalogs, the structure they have, the parameters we use inside them, how to personalize them, and how does the indexing script work. Let's start. Here you can see my SmC folder and I already have everything up and running. If you don't have SmC running like me, you can watch the first tutorial we created. So if we go to our localhost port 8081, we can just do a simple query, maybe Cinderella, and see that we have some movies here indexed. But where are these movies? If you want to take a quick look at our indices in Elasticsearch, we can just go to localhost port 9200 cat indices, and we can see that we have 5 of them. We have the empathize, the top click, search configurations, the catalog, and the links. And here we can see the number of documents they have and some other information about memory and IDs. We could use other tools to see this information. We could use Cerebro, that is open here in GitHub, or maybe we can use also Kibana to give another example. All the documents we are seeing on Elasticsearch come from here. Inside the indexing folder, collection files, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folders. The same number of index we have on Elasticsearch. So here we can find the catalog in English, the empathize, the links, search configurations, and top click. All of these folders have the same files. They have a data.json and mapping.json. And all of them are really similar, except for the catalog one, which also has another folder inside. This folder is the code for the English language, and it's the only folder that needs this code specified like this. We're going to see in the future why. So, why do we need these 2 files? We're going to talk about mapping. And as we can see in the official Elasticsearch documentation, mapping is the process of defining how a document and the fields it contains are stored and indexed. When you want to create an index inside Elasticsearch, you always need to create this mapping, this file, so you can explain to Elasticsearch the different fields it contains and the data types they can have. They could be a Boolean type, a word, a text. There are different types we can use so we can have the best outcome of the fields we have in our catalog. So if we click on the mapping of the catalog, we are going to see things like description, which is a text, a price, that is a float, and then we have strange things here. You can see a lot of fields inside this catalog that have a lot of parameters, but they also have a type. Why do we need this additional information? In order to process the language and having functionalities like writing a query that has a typo and having correct results, or maybe write something that is in plural and find the product that is in singular, or synonyms, you need to do a lot of calculations. You have to find, for example, the root of the word, the part of the word that never changes, that is for the same family, and know the different variations it has. You also have to not take into account filler words like the, like a, like is, because it's not really giving information about products or queries. It's just our way of communication. We can divide the word and start playing with them. We can understand the natural language people use and the language we have in our catalog and do all the matches. If you want to look for a movie and take into account the genre of the movie in the search box, you need to write all of this information and take into account the type. You will also find some fields that have 2 underscores before them. They are used for the front end because we want to separate the ones we use to show information from the ones we use to calculate information. This functionality right here is called spell check. It's the one that will find a typo in your query and suggest you the correct query. So if you want to have that functionality on SmC, you should keep this. We are using some analyzer and search analyzer. These are some configurations that we will find at the bottom of the JSON. So here we have the front-end fields. We have genre that will be used for searching and will be used also on the spell check functionality. We have type of the movie that we will also use to find movies, the original title, also the primary title, everything in the spell check. Each adult is just a filter, so it doesn't need to have all of that configuration. We just need to know the type. ID will also be used to find a movie in the future. Image, start year and year, runtime minus. This will just be used to show information or maybe for filters, but not for searching. And name of image is a field that I created so we can have the movies with a poster in the first position of the result list, so we can have an enjoyable search experience. Here we can see the different settings for the index, just some configurations things, and here are the different analyzers we created. And here we have the synonyms, where we can just write some of them. If you want to maybe just synonym like Cinderella should return the same thing as the query Aschenputtel. Is this Cinderella in another language? Which is Cinderella in another language, but we could also write Cenicienta, which is Cinderella in Spanish. We will have this configuration in our index and they will return always the same result for each query. If I write here this, we don't have any result, and if I write Cenicienta, we also don't have any result. Let's remember this because this will change in the future thanks to this synonym. Here we have more patterns so we can process words and more configuration things. You can learn about these configurations in the official Elasticsearch documentation, but if you have any doubt you can always ask me. Just remember that everything you put here will be in the configuration of the index, so just check the official documentation of Elasticsearch, take this mapping, and you can already start working with it and adding some configurations and seeing how everything changes maybe when you delete this lowercase or maybe when you add more information. So now let's see the real catalog. We have everything in a JSON, in a hits object, inside a hits array with some other objects that are source objects. And as you can see, all the documents have the underscore fields and the other fields that are the type we wrote on the mappings. We also have sometimes some arrays, and we didn't write on the mappings that there are lists. As you remember, genre was only a keyword. The thing is that the elements of the list will be keywords. So if we want to take Carmencita and change information, we can also do it. We can create a new movie that is called Anna's Tutorial for SmC. And the original title is, I don't know, SmC Rocks. And start year will be this year, 2024. Runtime minutes, I don't know how long will this video be. I will write 30 minutes. Name is the same as primary title. And now I'm going to add a new image for SmC. It should be always a host image, so we need to have a link to that. That's why I'm using this image from the official documentation of SmC. And that's it. With this, we can modify any field. And if we want to delete or add new fields, we should only keep in mind that we need to modify the mappings and add the correct information. And remember that one limitation we have is that our catalog should always be in English and our client should be called IMDb. This is only for the first version of SmC, of course. And now let's see our Empathize catalog. This catalog has information so we can do things like create suggestions of queries or see the most popular queries. Here we can see the settings of Empathize. You should never change this file because this is for a certain endpoint for Empathize, and if you change anything it won't work. We need to know the language of the catalog, that's why we don't have a folder with the code of English. And we have the keywords, the product IDs, information we need to make it work. As you can see, we don't have any field to store any personal information, so this is privacy first. And here is the data for Personalize Catalog. As you can see, we can customize anything, we can add new queries, we can change the weight. If it is high, it will be more popular, and if it's low, it will be less popular. And then we have there the language. As you can see, we have everything in a JSON object that has a hit object and that has a hits array with source objects. And if we want to add a new query, we can just copy this information. I want to add a new query related to SmC, and I want it to be really popular. And now I want to add another one that has Anna here, but I want it to be a little bit less popular, 20. If you want to add new queries that appear as suggestions for a principal query, you can take this example here I did with Wonderland. We just need to take the base query and add more queries that contains words of that query. So you are going to see that when I type Wonderland, all of these examples of queries will appear in my search box, and users will be able to just click on them and save a lot of keyword typing. In the real product, this will be done with the real anonymized data of users, and we wouldn't have to manually change this. Let's go to another catalog. Here is the links catalog, which has a lot of settings and the description of the fields it needs, like an ID, image URL, and more other information, so we can show promotions, banners, and links to other parts of a website. Here we can see some examples. As you can see, all catalog has the same structure, a JSON object with a hits object that contains a hits array and source objects inside. Here we can see an example of a direct link. We need an ID, and we can choose if it is enabled or not by changing this value. We can just go and decide that is false, and it won't be working even if it is in this catalog. Then we need to select the URL. In this case, every time someone types INGB, it will be redirected to ingb.com. We can create a new one, we can copy this information, add it, and we need to change the ID. We can just add the information we want, some letters, some numbers, and I want it to appear every time someone types SmC tutorial, and I want it to be a redirection to the official documentation of SmC. Next, we can see an example of a promotion that will redirect the shoppers to the Wikipedia page of Alice in Wonderland. I could change this URL and redirect to any page inside also the e-commerce. The keywords, the queries that will be used are Wonderland and Alice in Wonderland, and we will show this image that I took from internet. And if I wanted to match all queries, we can change this field here and write a true value, but I don't want it to appear in every query in all the experience, so I will keep it in false. Also here we can change the position where the promotion will appear. If it is 1, it will be appearing in the first position of the result list, but if it's, for example, 3, it will be the third element. Here I can show you what is happening right now. If I write Wonderland, we are going to see an image of Alice in Wonderland here, and the same promotion will appear in the other query we selected, Alice in Wonderland. We can see it, but if I try to write a similar query but not the exact one, it won't appear because we are looking for the exact match of those queries. And here we can see an example of a banner that will redirect to the Black Friday Wikipedia page only in the query Cinderella, and it will have this default Black Friday image. Let's continue with the search configurations, and here we can see the mapping with all the settings and information about the fields, and here we can see the data. Remember that you can change the mapping of this catalog, also the links, the empathize, and top click. This catalog will store all information related to boost and beauties of elements in a query. Here we are using the ID of the products, but that's because we selected that field in the field name. If we maybe choose primary title, we can just write maybe Hamlet, and all products called Hamlet in the query we select will be affected by the boost or beauty rule. Our last catalog is the top click one. Here we can see the mappings. This is a really simple mappings. You only need to know a few information like product ID, the language, and the click count of the product. And that's it. Here we can see the data this catalog contains, and as you can see, we are using the product IDs with the click count, the language, and the same extra language. The click count is the one that we decide which movies are popular, and the bigger the number, the bigger the popularity. So I want to change this. I want to write the new movie, the new tutorial I created. So I'm going to just copy and paste this so I don't overwrite the movie that is already used, and I'm going to write my ID. It is really simple because it's the first movie, so it is just zeros and a 1. And now my tutorial should be the most popular movie in this catalog. I can also change the click count in other movies, so I can start playing with the top click feature. All of these files are the output that we will get using the Empathy platform product. But right now, in this version of SmC, we need to change them by hand. And they will be indexed in our Elasticsearch container using this script. If we go to the bottom of the file, we are going to see the different steps the script does. First, it will say start the script, and then it is going to wait for Elastic. Because if we want to index something into Elastic, but we are launching the container at the same time, we need to wait until Elasticsearch is configured, and then we can add our catalog inside. We are going to be seeing this message waiting for Elasticsearch to be ready a lot of times in our terminal before Elasticsearch is ready, so we can see in real time that it is working and that it is not frozen. Then we are going to index all catalogs, and to do that we are going to see this method right here, index all, that will go to our base path. This path is the one that goes to the collection files folder we have inside the project, and as you can see, it is taken from a param that the script receives, which is really strange because we are executing all of SmC with just one command, and we are not passing any params to that command. So why is it working? As you can see, we are using it with a different command that is receiving the base path as a param. Well, this is working because we have here a Docker file that will take all of this indexing folder and create a container with it. And that container will be already configured with this Docker file, and it will execute the command indexdata.sh collection files with the path we need automatically at the end of the instructions of the container. So that's why we are not passing any params, because we have all information in this file. So remember that if you change the path of collection files, you should go here and change it as well. Back to the method, we will take all folders inside collection files and see the information they have and start indexing them. You are going to see some information in the terminal like processing language, and then each language it is processing. In this case, it is going to also be English. And then with a method called index, we are going to index each of the folders we have inside collection files. As you can see, it is going to look for a mapping.json and data.json files, which are going to be used as mappings or data for Elasticsearch. So if you try to change the name of those files, they should always be the same name for all of the folders we have in collection files. And you should remember to change also the name in this script, because otherwise it won't work. Other important method is the index content one, because here we are seeing that we are accessing the information using a JSON object with a hits object, hits array, and source objects. So that's why all the catalogs inside the data.json file have the same structure. So if you want to change it, you can do it, but just remember to change it as well on this script. Then we are refreshing our indexes so they are ready to be used in our search experience. Last, we will see this finish script message and everything will be ready. Okay, so we made a lot of changes, but they won't be reflected in our search experience. because we need to reindex all of these catalogs inside our volume in Elasticsearch. If this is your first time using Docker, I recommend to just delete this volumes folder and stop all containers you have in SmC in case you have some. And then when you execute SmC again or for the first time, you will have everything with the new information. Okay, so I deleted my Elasticsearch container and my indexing job container because I want everything to be created from zero. And to execute the container, we just need to write docker compose app. That is the same thing we wrote in the past when we execute SmC for the first time. And if you have SmC created and you already have some containers like I have here, you don't need to delete everything and create it from zero, because if you execute this command, Docker will already see that you have some containers that are working and will only create the ones that you don't have. Here it created my Elasticsearch container and now it's creating my indexing job container. And as you can see, Elasticsearch is in red because it's been created. I'm going to execute search service and frontend also. And now we have indexing job local here. I want to enter this container so we can see all the messages and all we saw in the script. Okay, my script started and now we're waiting for the Elasticsearch container to be working. We have a second message and it will be appearing until the container is ready and we start indexing.
A few moments later.
Let's see if I have those changes in my SmC. First of all, we need to look for Cenicienta and see if now we have some results. That's it. We have the same ones as Cinderella. And we don't have the banner because the banner we wrote on the links catalog always appear in the Cinderella query and not on any other query. Synonyms doesn't take those banners and those promotions. And now what happens if I look for SmC? That's it, with my official image of SmC and this description right here and my price and everything. And if we go to incognito mode, we are going to see the changes in the top click endpoint. You know, sometimes endpoints are saved in memory, so the browser doesn't make so much requests and we can save time. So if you tend to change some catalogs and you don't see them reflected in your SmC, although the new volume is running, you should just go to this incognito mode and you will see the new information. And if I look for SmC tutorial, I should be seeing a direct link. It's trying to take me into the official documentation. And that's it. Here you have some examples of how to customize the catalogs. We talk about the structure, we talk about the script, and we talk a little bit about the parameters we need in the catalog folder. If you want more information, you can go to our official documentation because all configurations we do on SmC are from Empathy platform. The only difference is that we have a playboard, so we don't have to change JSONs by hand. This was the second tutorial of SmC. Now you know everything you need to know to change the catalogs, and I'll see you in the last tutorial where we are going to learn how to change the search configurations. But if you want a spoiler, you can see the LinkedIn Live I did, so you can see the capabilities of the SmC with the search configurations. Thank you so much.